Melissa Jacobs, also known as Sticker Club Girl, and we are here at Conspire Phoenix in downtown Phoenix to learn about making paper from paper. It'll be art paper. We'll be using computer paper from my classroom, and we'll be recycling it. We're going to be starting with paper that has been shredded in individual pieces. And what happens when you have paper, the fibers have all weaved together and laid across each other, and then as the paper dries, they shrink, and that's what forms the bond that makes paper strong. Well, if you cut your paper to recycle it, all those fibers are like little straws, and the ends of the straws get mushed. So what you want to do is you want to tear the paper into about 1 or 2 inch squares. And if you look at the ends of the paper, you can see all the small fibers sticking out, and that's how you know that they're not bent. They've pulled away from each other because they've been soaking for about 24 hours. All right, so the next thing you do after you get your paper torn and soaked overnight is you want to place a small handful of it into the blender. The more that you blend it, the less that you'll be able to see what was originally on the paper. So if you want lots of numbers and letters floating around on the top of your surface of your paper, then you'll only blend for a small amount of time. You can do both, where you blend it up a lot and then at the end add a little bit with the letters and numbers on it. You can write poetry and then blend it up and have your poem floating around on the top of your paper, or like Chinese lettering or any kind of like symbols that you want to add into the paper. Perfect for Valentine's Day. Like, I hate you, I hate you. Stick it in your paper. Okay, so we're just going to put a little bit in there. And then we will add some water. With our brand new blender. And at this point, you could go out and you could buy paper dye. And I do have a series of paper dyes, and they're great because they come in all different colors, but it takes a whole lot of paper dye to get a little bit of color. And what I've learned is that colored napkins already have a whole lot of dye in them, and they're way cheaper. So if you simply add paper napkins to your vat, you'll get the color without spending all the money. Okay, so starting with just a little bit, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start to grind up our paper. Okay, and at this point we can go ahead and we can add our concoction to our first vat. Okay, now in order to have enough in here to make it worth starting, we need to do it about 3 more times. And at this point, I think you guys should come over and give it a try. Okay, right now I'm adding some larger flowers, and they look really nice in the paper. These ones won't have a lot of contrast because of the same color. They still give it a nice texture. Now we have a grid, a screen that goes on top, and a decal, which gives the term deckled edge. When the edge has a little bit of a wave to it, it's the deckled edge, and that comes from the shape of the screen. Okay, so you want to get all 3 of these really nicely aligned together. And using your thumbs to hold everything together, you're going to dip, and you go down, flat, and slowly rock back and forth. And as you're rocking back and forth, you're going to be bringing it up until you get to near the surface of the top, and then you let the water drip out the bottom. Okay? But first, you got to stick your hand in the vat and agitate the water. Okay, once everything's floating around in the surface, you go down to the bottom, flatten out, and then rock back and forth slowly, so that as the paper and fibers and pulp in there are settling, they settle onto your screen. Okay, looks like we're still going to need a little bit more pulp in there. I think we got a lot of great color, but we didn't get enough of the fibers in there. And then at this point, you remove the decal. You bring your paper over. We're going to just use milk crates because that'll allow all the water to drip out the bottom. You're going to take a couching cloth and set it over your paper. And then we'll take a squeegee and in a smooth, even motion, start pushing the water out.
Yeah. They had a whole bunch of different
Okay. And now you're going to want to grab a sponge. And if you I find that if you kind of press down first and then slowly let it come up, it'll absorb the water.
Yeah. I was going to sit on the phone.
I just want to go around the whole surface.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great. It's just a little tired.
So, this paper now?
Yeah. School paper towel works better because it's thicker, but this will work just fine too.
Do I press on it now?
Yeah, you want to press on it, especially around the edges, mostly on the edges. So you get it to kind of stick to it. Okay, that should be great. And then at this point, we're going to flip it over one more time because we really want it to stick to the paper towel. And you can see that it's already coming away easily. And so I like to just make sure I'm keeping it bent back away from the paper.
There's another one.
And there's your first piece of paper.